Uh, all right. So when it comes to adding muscle, like um, people want that quickly, and it does not happen quickly because they'll equate fat loss with the same rate as muscle gain. So muscle gain takes years, like literally a very long time. And literally, you're going to wake up one day. And I said literally like three times in a sentence, but you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I look completely different. Because the best progress photos are the ones from your past self, not somebody else's, because somebody else is going to lose fat and gain muscle at a completely different rate than you are. And it takes a long time because it's biology. Like, yeah, you can speed it up with certain things like performance enhancing drugs and all that. But again, you still have to do the work. And this is what I am always reiterating to my men, because a lot of them will look up certain steroids or SARMs and stuff like that as this quick highway to adding gobs of muscle. And I'm like, let me tell you something. I have a lot of men who are on TRT as my clients. Some of them you would never know they're actually on TRT. Does TRT help you gain muscle? It might, because it can help you recover from training and push a little harder in the gym, but it does not explode into muscles. So just because you inject something doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to turn into the Hulk within a few weeks. All that work in the gym still needs to be done, but it has to be done in a way that what I call more old school strength training. So in the past, I've been a fitness professional for like 22 years. I'm older. In the past, I would say 5 to 10 more clients have come to me doing more circuit style, or what Luke calls huffy puffy work, where they feel metabolic style training is the be all end all. If the rest period is longer than 30 seconds, it's too long. They get bored, they get antsy. They're like, all right, what do I do next? And that's great for burning calories and feeling sweaty and feeling like you got a hard workout. You might build a little bit of muscle, but it's really not going to contribute overall to true strength training, where you have a set that is so hard that demands you rest at least 2 to 3 minutes, and you cannot wait for that 2 to 3 minutes. And it's not like you're jump roping in between, or people have this obsession with keeping their heart rate up in between sets. That's not the goal. The goal is to gain strength. The goal is to literally rip your muscle fibers so that when you go home and you eat and you sleep and you recover, it forms newer, bigger ones so that that tissue grows. And that happens over repetition of every day, every week, every month, year in and year out, cycling through periods of higher calories and lower calories and life events and stuff like that, until one day you're like, damn, I have shape in places I didn't think I could have shape. And then it's like art. You fine tune, you find things you want to work on, you build on those areas, and then you work at it more and you chisel. And it's like a sculpture. Over time, things change. I played college soccer. We did not really do upper body stuff in the weight room. I had no upper body. My goal was always to build bigger shoulders. I have bigger shoulders now. I set a goal of this in 2018. That was 4 years ago. Like, yo,
What was your
didn't take 2 weeks.
I was gonna say that. What was your way of actually building muscle there? Because here's another thing. People think they need to change their program every 3 weeks. People think that, like, especially as beginners, especially as people that need that, like, we've been doing this for ages. So maybe we can change our program every 6-ish weeks, but it's still not that big of a change. But people are trying to change things every 3 weeks. If it's not every week, thank God it's not really that I'm seeing anymore. It's more so every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, let's start a new program. And they're not allowing themselves to build onto it. And then someone sent me a Lauren Simpson program from online, and There were freaking like squats supersetted with some other fuckery, supersetted with like something else, and it was all 15 to 20 rep ranges. And it's just like, this is supposed to build your glutes and get you to where you want to be, when it's all literally things of supersets and triple sets and high reps. Like, where's the actual building tissue here without the, okay, yeah, big exercises, high reps in circuits, don't rest so much, and then it ends up with like, okay, then finish with like glute kickbacks, which aren't that bad. It's just that they're overused, and all this other fancy shit. It's just like, but why? So how do you train to get those results? And maybe the realistic time frame of like, you need to actually stick to a program for longer, and you don't need to change your program all that much, and your bodybuilding happens in the gym. The food just needs to match that, and you don't need reverse diets.
Oh my God, 100%. Like the food has to match it. I think reverse diets are used more for people who freak out at weight gain very quickly, myself included. Like Luke's like, I'd love to push you straight to 2000 calories, but you'll lose your mind. I'm like, yeah, you know me. I can't handle a lot of food at once. Like you can handle so much more like fiber and these big bowls of things. And my stomach can't handle that just from so many years of like starving and dieting and all that stuff.
Wait, I want to quickly interject, but don't forget what you want to say on my thing there.
I'm not.
So I used to have the worst gut issues. I actually, do you remember my gut? I sent you some photos from ages ago when I said I can't even find photos from back then because I hated my body that much. Like, I felt like a freaking hippo 24/7 because everything I ate, it was either constipation or diarrhea. It was either gut this, gut that, like that. People don't talk about that stuff, but that's what I was having because it was fake foods and all these big bowls. And now I'm just like, I'm eating like 3 kilos of veggies a day, and I don't have gut issues. And that is insane for someone like me. But I was a crash dieter, and this is the stuff like, oh, I just need to go on this gut protocol. Oh, let's do Beachbody's 4-week gut protocol. Let's get gut right. And that's what I'm saying now. It's just like, you just need to stop eating like a dickhead and stop chronic dieting and all that shit. So that's something I do want to touch on, because I did want to say that I did have those issues. And because I've been not chronically dieting and I've been out of a deficit for so long and I haven't been beating my body up, you can heal. You just do the right shit for it. Now back to what you were saying.
Yeah, no, you don't have to spend so much money on like functional med doctors or food intolerance tests are such a waste of money, because the outcome is going to be the same, where it's going to be an elimination style diet. Getting rid of things that tend to offend people like gluten, dairy, and artificial sweeteners. I love artificial sweeteners. I really need to call my shit on them, but it's part of the reason that why I have some gut issues remaining from that. But
I have a whole bag of sucralose, and that's what I use.
Yeah. So I need to just stick with that and not go near erythritol or xylitol or anything that ends with tol. So that being said, program ADD actually is a problem among fitness professionals who have not been in this very long and clients. So with clients, they see the entertaining stuff on social, they get bored, they want to change. So I tell them, I don't design programs for your entertainment. I tell it to them very straight up. You know, me and Luke are very similar. This is the truth. This is how it is. I explain to them, though, I educate them instead of scolding them. I say, I'm not going to play into the entertainment factor, especially if it's been like 3 weeks. Like, come on. Some people, I extend their program if they miss workouts. So yeah, you may end up on the same program for like 6 weeks, but guess what? That's actually really not that long. If it is the type of exercises that allow you to continue to progress, meaning you are able to add weight. So the program ADD, like, I understand, because people will get bored because they don't push themselves hard enough. So they're doing the same weight every single week, doing the same exertion, feeling the same stuff. If they start pushing themselves, and that's why I provide rep ranges. Hey, how about we try to go in the low end of the rep range, or even miss the rep range because the load is way too heavy? Then it becomes a whole different program. And then they're like, oh, this is cool. Trainers, if there's trainers listening to this, we will get bored with exercises a lot quicker than our clients will. And this happens more in person because I used to do this in my 20s where I'm like, all right, cool. RDLs are fun and all, but like, we're going to do something else. We're going to do like a single leg RDL, or we're going to do a barbell single leg, or, you know, some other hamstring exercise, when this person's only done RDLs for like 2 weeks and is so excited to master it. But no, we're bored. So we're going to change it right away. People don't need that much variation, especially if they're only training 2 to 3 days a week. We like to train as much as possible. And we've been doing this for so long. We also appreciate the fact that you can get good at exercises. We still deadlift, squat, press, row. Can't really, like, if you're standing on one leg, curling while, like, you know, tapping your nose and then, you know, trying to pick up marbles with your foot, it's going to be hard to progress that. So you're not going to feel strong. Like, nothing is more empowering than when I can strap 80 pounds around my waist and do dips, or however many pounds to do chin-ups. That is really fucking cool. But you don't get there doing that for only 2 weeks. People have literally said, you post pull-ups all the time. You must do pull-ups in every phase of your program. I said, yeah, there are so many variations of pull-ups that I have done to get better at pull-ups. My back almost didn't fit in my wedding dress, so we had to calm down. I have no pull-ups in my program now, and I'm sad. But pull-ups are a very basic exercise. How could you get bored of those? I never get bored of them. I want them back in my program, but my back is too big. I have to wear size L, extra large and large sports bras, and my cup size is like -A. Makes no sense, but my back has gotten really big. It happens. It works, but you got to do the same thing over and over. And a lot of the more experienced lifters, bodybuilders, or go up to anyone in the gym who looks the way that you want to look and ask them what they've done in the past 10 years. Not the program they're doing currently, not the diet they're doing currently, what they have done leading up to that. Because everyone asked what I was eating and what I was training for the few weeks before my shoot. Nobody asks me as much right now. They're like, oh, do you have another competition coming up? I'm like, I never had one. I just want to get stronger. I want to get bigger, muscular wise.
That annoys the shit out of me. I just have to say that right now. People always like, do you have another comp coming up? I get asked all the time, are you competing soon? Are you competing soon? You're looking really good. No, I'm never competing again. Are you sure? I'm like, why would I want to compete when I can look this good every single fucking day? Like,
but it's better than the alternative. Because I will say, like, when I go through airports, they ask if I do CrossFit, which used to annoy me, but I understand the context now that's people's perception of a fit person. So it's a huge compliment. Like, I don't mind it at all. It's actually really funny because then the flight attendants or like the TSA people are like, you know, oh, what do I got to eat to get abs like you? You know, stuff like that. I mean, better than if they're like, yo, you're going to need like the 2-seat option because you're too large. Like, I would hate that.
Yeah, like that's the other thing people don't realize. It's just like the cost of you not acting in the right way is you either staying exactly where you are right now or getting worse, because there is some reason why you haven't been able to break through despite the many. There is no way that anyone hasn't tried to sort this shit out before. So if you're currently stuck, there is no way you haven't tried to sort it out. And there is a reason why you haven't tried to sort it out. So why are you not getting help? And a lot of the time, it isn't just about money. Like, most of the time is not about money. It's that you don't trust yourself and you don't want to let over control. Because for me, Luke was a big price tag for me. Like, that's what held me off a lot. But at the same time, I didn't trust him completely taking over because I knew that he would make me do the shit that he wants me to do. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am right now, because my reverse diet with him was you need to eat 2,100 calories. And I was on 1,600. He wanted me to eat 24, but
yeah,
reverse was 2,100. It wasn't, okay, you're eating 1,600. Let's go up to 17. Let's go up to 18. Let's go up to 19. Like, no, that's still bullshit. But he tapered me up in those 2 phases to get to the maintenance that I needed, which was 2,400. So you can bring that into it as well. But the other thing that you said that grinds my gears is when they compliment you when you're looking at your leanness, but no one gives a shit when you're actually in the building phase, and they don't realize that it's that building phase that got you to that lean phase that looks so freaking good. Now,
well, I actually I was laughing because my one friend at the gym, she is 53. She competes in women's physique. So she decided, I think she's going to do a show in October or November after not competing for a couple of years. So she's my height, maybe an inch shorter. And I saw her yesterday. I was like, dude, you look awesome. She's like, I feel like a heifer. I'm 142 pounds, which I think that's what I am. And I'm like, I get it. And she's like my stomach, all this food is just, it's a full-time job. I'm like, I get you. Cause like, my stomach is just, it's expanded because of food, but like the skin around it is still kind of thin, so it's not like, that's how you know you're not getting body fat. You just have to eat a lot more. And she looks fuller and her muscles look good. And she's like, yeah, I probably will cut in a couple months. But you have to go through that. Like, you're competing in women's physique. Like, she has to go through a phase where she gets her calories up to like 2,300 right now. She's a small person. And then you start to cut it down. And I was like, this makes me feel so good about what I'm going through. Cause she's like, you look awesome. And I was like, and we both think we look huge, but yet I'm complimenting her and she's complimenting me because she is jacked. And people say that I'm jacked, but we don't see that right now. We see bigness and feel like, oh my God, we're eating so much. So it's just a little bit of a mind fuck that still sneaks into us. But we know that this is better for us in the long run. And then the more you do it, the more you realize it's necessary. And I think also being transparent on social media and saying, hey, I'm not going to be competition or photo shoot lean the entire year. And if it wasn't for Luke forcing me out of my comfort zone and being into this, and now it's fun because now the more I eat, the stronger I get, the more I smash weights, and I'm lifting more than most of the men that I train and that are in my gym. And then they also want to know what I'm doing. Like, how do I lift that much? And I'm like, you got to eat. And the teenage boys, I'm like, you have to eat. You have to get off your phone. You got to put your mind to work. I put my phone on do not disturb probably 90% of the time I'm in the gym. I don't want shit distracting me. You can't.
You said something really good there. There was this guy at the gym who's taken my free advice for, he said he might sign up at the end of this year, which is freaking awesome because he took my advice because he plays like footy, I think, as well. He walks on the treadmill, incline treadmill. He's like, monkey see, monkey do, I'm doing what you do. So he's always walking on the treadmill, like after his sessions. But anyway, I got him to increase his carbs double. So he was eating a whole box, like literally, I'm not kidding, a whole box of rice bubbles for his breakfast every single day, the whole box, because he's a footy player. He's very tall. He's got all this. He increased his calories by almost double, and he stopped doing ridiculous training because I told him he needs to calm the shit down and only train 5 days, not 7 days or 6 days. And if he needs to take a day off and only do 4, then do that. But he's so much bigger now, like muscle wise. He's fuller. He's still pretty damn lean and he has veins popping out. Yes, he's gained body fat because you always gain body fat. And yes, you will, because you said the skin around your abs is still tight. It's like, yeah, but it is going to look fatter as well because you still carry like the water there still increases and it makes it look like you do have that flub there. And then body image isn't just about a body. I will keep saying it because like there are days where I feel like a hippopotamus because my sleep was shit and I didn't digest properly. When I don't digest properly, I feel like a freaking hippopotamus. Did that change the way my body looked? Maybe I didn't digest as much. So I probably look a bit fatter, if that's the way you want to say it. But I looked normal the next day. But that for a normal person would spiral out into some complete, like, this is why you can't attach yourself to numbers, to even a look in the acute sense. It's over time, those looks, because if you look crap one day, that's not really based on you.
No, no. And the funny thing is too, like your average client, our average clients don't even need to do what we went through to the level that we went through to get what they want. So the attention to detail does not have to be as precise as you and I going through the process that we did for a show or a photo shoot. So for them, it's sometimes just knowing what they're eating, how much, and what quantities. And if you have to eat a little more, it's okay. You probably benefit from it. Like you said, your guy's got veins and he's still pretty lean. One of my coaches, Tim, who lives with us right now, I have him up to almost 600 grams of carbs. He was eating like 200 when he moved down to Florida. He can't stop posting thirst traps. It's awesome. I love it. Like his veins, like his abs he's looking shredded. He's on a wave loading program that is literally kicking his ass. I put him on an advanced GVT program. Like it's amazing. And he's training 4 days a week.
Programs. This continue on how to actually train effectively for muscle growth. This is like going off what we spoke about before with the comp rep and all that bullshit. It's the most people listening to this do not need to be so freaking obsessive over every single little freaking thing that everybody is freaking obsessive about. No, everyone's so obsessed over these numbers, these body fats, these weights, these, oh, now I need to track all my metrics to the absolute ground. It's like, yeah, they're good to track here and there, but for most people, you don't need to track all of that damn shit. But now it's become a trend to track all of this stuff that it's taking over your life that people don't actually see. It doesn't need to be that hard. But back to the question, it's
no, yeah.
You need it, bring that into the question. Actually, it's like you don't need to do what most people on social media that have their life centered around this need to do, but yet because that's all you see, you think that's what you need to do, and that's how easy it looks, and that's how easy it's going to be, and that it's always going to be linear and sunshine and rainbows because that's what they post. But no, because you're a human living a different type of life where you're not getting paid to do all this stuff, and most people don't even enjoy training, and if you make it your life, you're going to hate it and resent it a lot more. But the question going into that also was on the how to actually train effectively for body recomposition, because we're not going through, hey, let's bulk all the way, hey, let's cut all the way, because most people don't want to be like Ali. Like most women do not want to be like Ali. Ali is a freak of nature. Like I don't want to be like Ali because there's no way that I would have done what she did because I freaking want my food. Like I'm not doing another shoot. She wants to do another shoot. She wants to push her body weight all the way up there and gain as much weight as she needs to until she gets uncomfortable. Like, no, I'm not going slow like a mouse like I used to, but I'm not going alley style. Like, this is what most people want. And that's what I try to put out there, what most people want. And I'm showing you it can be done because I was a slave to it. And Ali can talk about that for years because she knows I was a slave to that bullshit. And it's like, no, you don't need that. You just need to train. So how do you train for body recomposition without staying in the dieting mindset?
I would say it's harder than what most people are doing now. And you're right. People don't want to look like me. I'm very aware of that. And keep in mind, my demographic is training men. So more men would want to look like how I look than women. And I'm aware of that. And that's okay, because it allows me to justify training this way, gaining weight and looking a certain way, because again, that's who my demographic is. And a lot of my guys, I track stuff with, and I think that people can be a little bit obsessive with the tracking. The only time that I will really dive into a lot of the data is when people have a good hold on their nutrition and their training. If they are nailing their nutrition and nailing their training within like 5 to 10%, you're going to have days you miss, whatever. Then yes, I'm going to look a lot into the data. I have a lot of military veterans who are very precise with their training and their nutrition. So I will go into their metrics, especially if I'm pushing them through a phase where they're in a hard cut. We want to see the metrics fall, and then they're going to come back up. But when people look at their Aura ring and it says that you need a day of recovery, and they say, oh, Aura told me to have a day of recovery, I feel fine, but I shouldn't train. Then it becomes a problem that we're listening to the technology when you have to really assess both. So that's where it can become a problem. Now, swinging back to training for muscle hypertrophy and recomping. It's not increasing the calories to an obscene amount, but enough to stimulate some growth, but also going heavy enough to where it's stimulating that tissue growth, not annihilating your nervous system, but also something that you can continue to progress on over time, because muscle building takes longer. So we need it to be an over the time thing. It's not something that you complete in 4 weeks and then all of a sudden you're massively jacked. I wish it worked that way. And I really, really wish that like people got, like I tell them, I'm like, I am trying to gain weight, like literally muscle. I am trying. I am lifting much more than most people my age or whatever you want to call it, sex, whatever. But I am lifting as hard as I can, as often as I can. I am not eating everything, because you don't need to eat everything under the sun. If you only need to eat maybe 200 to 300 more calories to grow a baby, why would you have to increase it by that much more to grow muscle? I don't know. I just thought of that analogy right now, but it doesn't require that obscene, what you were talking about, bulk. That's what a lot of guys will do and should do early in their life to understand how stuff works. Because if you do this dirty bulk where you're eating a lot of junk and then you don't feel as good, but then you put on a lot of fat and then you just have to crash diet it all off, then it teaches you a lesson that might not be the best approach. So the longer approach where you can lift consistently increase the weight that you're lifting over time while slowly adding your calories in, then all of a sudden, like I said before, you turn around and you're like, yo, I'm jacked.
Yeah, you guys need to be patient with the process. If you're not patient with the process, that's when you're going to cut to extremes. You're going to get uncomfortable and want to cut your calories straight away. You're not even going to allow yourself enough growth in the. It's so funny because my back was so sore the other day, and then I went into the mirror and I'm just like, has it grown yet? No, Ruby, it has not changed a single bit from when you walked into the gym. But it's like, I've been really smashing my back this phase. There's no way it hasn't grown. It's like, it still takes time, but it comes, like, you can get so obsessed and in love with the feeling of something working that you get married to it when it starts to not serve you anymore, which is kind of how people feel with these huffy puffy programs. Because not that long ago, because I was healing my hamstring, I was on a program that was literally like 12 to 20 to even 30 reps for so many different things, with all these single leg, single arm things, and everything just compacted. It was like, I hated it because it took me over 90 minutes every single time, because I lift heavy for my, like, for me, I lift heavy for a lot of people that are doing this program. So
you do
at high reps, like heavy at high reps with compound exercises, it was taking me ages, where it was taking other people, because it was like a group thing, just because I was trying to heal my hamstring. I'm not doing that shit anymore, but it was taking them around an hour to 80 minutes. It was taking me longer because of that. But I hated it. I wanted to change it sooner, but I'm like, oh, this always feels like it's working because I'm always feeling smashed and I'm seeing results. But no. That is like, it served me then because I didn't have to load my hamstring in a way that was going to aggravate it more. But that wasn't going to serve me long term. It wasn't something that I was looking forward to. It wasn't something that was fitting into my lifestyle, that it was adding stress to me. And if anything, it was going to keep me being really good at high reps without actually effectively building strength and building muscle the way that I need to do it, that is actually sustainable and that I actually enjoy. But the last thing I kind of want to touch into, actually, we'll bring up the HRT and BC in a second. Fats. People are still really, really confused around fats. And you, me, and PJ all harp this home that, well, especially in a fat loss phase, fats are overrated. Like, you really do not even need to worry about adding in or having high fats in a fat loss phase, unless it is something that you need to keep high to be adherent to your diet. Then yes, that's okay. But I know that way back when, people always used to question everything though. Didn't they say that females need 60 grams of fats? It's like, no. So that's what I wanted to touch on. And then I wanted to talk about birth control and HRT, so you can kind of like talk about both.
Yeah. with the fat, it's funny because like I posted on my stories that, oh, my fats are really high at 55, really high for me. So I could get 93% ground turkey. And I got a couple messages. They're like, 55 is really high. And I was like, well, again, I'll reiterate, dieting to the level that I did for the photo shoot is I had fats in the 20s for a certain period of time, maybe a few weeks. Like you're not going to die. I think that with the essential fats as omegas and fish oil, and if you're getting the essential fats, that's really all you need. People will argue that you need it for hormone production. I think if you are extremely low fat over a long period of time, and then you're depleting other resources, maybe. But again, with the men I deal with, they have low hormones for 6,000 other reasons than their levels of dietary fat. I don't think people need to go as high as we swung the pendulum back when keto reemerged as like the South Beach diet and the Atkins diet and all that stuff. So I don't think that that's as so much of importance. But again, what do you like to eat? And if you are someone who's diabetic and has issues with carbohydrates, it's another story if it's a medical issue. So
yeah. So that clears up that question. The other one is HRT is so shunned upon with so many women, but it is something that can benefit so many, but people don't understand just how much not having estrogen, for example, in your body can be detrimental long-term for your health. And then it's like cost and benefits. But at the same time, there's people that do not understand just how detrimental birth control is to you. Like, it's not just about, hey, go cold turkey on birth control. It's, you need to understand exactly what it is doing to your body. So just like talk about both of those with that whole hormone health thing, just to like summarize everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, I will preface this with women's hormones, even though I'm a woman, are not my specialty. So I know a lot more about men's hormone replacement than women's. However, birth control 30 years ago, we didn't really know the effects of it and how deleterious everything was. Now we kind of know that, all right, synthetic hormones are probably not the best path towards, quote, fixing somebody's hormonal issues, especially girls who were in their teenage years. But it was almost like when I was 17, my mom had me put on birth control because that's like just what you did. It's what everyone did. And I was like, okay. And like my boobs got huge and everything. And then when I was like 21, I was like, I don't really like this. I'm going to go off of it because I did a lot of research even back then as to, do I really need this? I don't want to stay suppressed. So whenever you take in something that's synthetic or acting like a hormone, it's going to suppress your natural production. So what it does on birth control, you're basically taking away ovulation, which is the production of progesterone, and estrogen is now being suppressed because you have synthetic estrogen coming in. Every birth control is different, but what that does is now creates an environment where your body's like, oh, well, I don't need to produce this on my own because I'm getting it from the outside. Over time, that can cause a lot of issues where when women come off, it's not like, oh, you go off birth control on Wednesday, by Thursday, you can get pregnant. Some women actually can't for a very long time because of this suppression. And there's all nutrient depletions and all sorts of things that come with that. And suppresses testosterone as well, so that they end up with less muscle mass than they had, less ability to lose body fat and stuff like that. So when it comes to hormone replacement, there are still many fears that women with breast cancer can't go on it, with hereditary issues to breast cancer can't go on it, that it causes cancer, that it does all these bad things. All I know is that I'm 40, I'm on testosterone, I'm on progesterone, because we don't really produce that anymore. And usually when women go into menopause, you need to add estrogen because you have to balance all three. And testosterone will help with libido, but estrogen really skyrockets libido as women enter menopause. And progesterone is going to help tremendously with sleep, because as you approach perimenopause area, like I am, You get more anxiety at night. You get more heart rate increases at night due to poor sleep and due to the loss of progesterone. For guys, oh man, I have a course on this called Testosterone School. Like more and more men are showing up with low testosterone. It declines about 1% every year since the 70s. It's crazy. And there's this whole movement trying to eradicate masculinity from the earth, which I think is crazy. I don't agree with this toxic masculinity BS. So that's not my jam. I'm more like, how about we tell dudes like it's okay to be a dude, and we don't need to tell them not to be aggressive in certain areas. Like we're teaching young boys not to fight and not to do things that would direct them towards being a male. That does contribute to suppressed testosterone levels. Not to mention all the chemicals and stuff in the environment and all of that. But basically, as a society or a species, we are suffering suppressed hormone production due to things like birth control and plastics and toxic things in our environment and all of that, and the obesity epidemic. So if we don't fix any of that, then we're going to continue to live suppressed. It's no way to live. So getting on hormone replacement is not cheating, is not succumbing to something you can't do naturally. It's restoration of the amount that you were supposed to produce biologically. It is nothing more than that. Super physiological doses, those are steroids, and you can add other compounds that are illegal into that. That's not what we're talking about. Hormone replacement is literally what it is. Hormone replacement. You're replacing what you do not produce that you should from a certain biological age, puberty, and that you're not, and you haven't been since then.
Perfect. That sums it up a lot, because it kind of clears up some of the hormonal confusion that a lot of people have, especially because there are so many women still on birth control, and it's masking a lot. And it also, at the same time, you don't actually get a real period when you're on birth control. And when you come off it, which there are more people coming off it now, it's not just a quick fix. And that's something that I want you guys to realize. But to sum up this whole podcast, I want to reiterate the importance of knowing exactly what it is that you want to achieve. And we did touch on a lot, so you might want to listen to this twice, because what you do over time is what leads to the results that you see. It has nothing to do with what you're doing now that has you the results now. It's what you did before. But if all you're doing is chopping and changing and thinking that it's like some 12-week fix, you're never ever going to get to where you want to be, because results aren't born in the present. Results are born over time. So I guess with all of that, I'm going to let you sum it up with just the importance of doing it for a real reason that stems from not numbers, not obsession, but something that gives you purpose, and also just how important it is to break free from the toxic patterns that kept us stuck.
Yeah, just if you want to look a certain way, know what is required of that. Quite often, that certain toned look requires building more muscle. So don't step on the scale for 6 months. Go by how you look in the mirror. Expect your clothes to be tight. Be okay with it. Get comfortable with it, because that is where true emotional growth occurs, and physical, is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. So if people judge you by going through a certain phase, great. Those same people are going to ask you what you're doing when you go through your first cut with more muscle, whatever that means for you.
So thank you for coming on. And with that, I'm going to leave the Ali Gilbert, her Instagram below. And if you're a dude listening to this, or if you have a dude as a husband, which obviously you would have a dude as a husband, get them to check out her page as well, because this isn't